Hello everyone. So I am right in the middle of all the wonderful countdown posts for My Favorite Things April release, which there will be more info in my blog post, which I always link to directly below my videos. But for today's card, I'm going to show you guys the sneak peek of the new Centerpieces Congratulations Shaker Dynamics, which are really cool. So you get all these dies as a part of the set, and I need to get more baby cards made. That's kind of actually the theme of this release too, if you've been paying attention to my blog. But I'm going to use the main shaker die. There's a companion set of letters. There's some little baby rattle pieces. There's circles, graduation caps, little swirly stars, all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm going to use all these dies, and then I'm also going to use the largest die from my Blueprints 13 set, which is just this regular rectangle piece with the stitching that I absolutely love. So I've already got a piece of craft cardstock trimmed down, and I'm going to use this die to trim it out, and then I'm going to center the Congratulations shaker front here in that. And if you're unsure when running things through your die cut machine, you can use like a post-it. You know, I've used that, or I've used tape, different things. I would use a post-it for something like this. You want something that's not gonna tear your cardstock if you're gonna tape it in place. But I've got my little magnet mat under here, so that's kind of holding everything in place. I just want to make sure I've got it all centered before I run it through my machine. So we're now left with this, and then it's just a matter of popping out all these little pieces. So now I'm left with that. How cool is that? So I'll get to that. I'll get back to that in a minute. Alrighty, so now that that part's done, I've got some Berrylicious cardstock and all the separate letters, and then some Night Shift blue cardstock that I'm going to use for the baby rattles. So, and then another piece of the Berrylicious, and I'm just going to cut some of these little circles. Pop them into my little Faber-Castell cup because it was handy, so that I can set these aside for later. So now that I've got everything die cut, I want to glue all these letters over top of my little main piece here, and the easiest way to do that is just to use the liquid adhesive you prefer, which for me is my Tombow Mono Multi, and then I'm going to use my little quick stick, which I got from MFT, and it's just got this little basically kind of like thumbtack adhesive in the end here, so it's just sticky enough to pick everything up, which you'll see in a second. So easiest way to do this is to just dab a little bit of glue on the letter, then pick it up with my little quick stick and press it into place. So now that I've got that done, which only took a minute, I need to make this work as a shaker card. So I've got a piece of transparency, and I've had mine forever. This is the 3M, this is Right On transparency film. I got it at like Staples forever ago, years and years. And I got a 100 sheet pack, and unless you plan on making like a million shaker cards, you don't need that many. I will try and find a link somewhere else just to get a few, you know, for something to play with. But anyway, it's just, yeah, basic thin little transparency, doesn't have to be anything special. And I cut it down to just slightly smaller than my little craft piece here. And then to adhere it, I'll just use my ATG adhesive. So got that adhered, and then I'm just going to need a piece to back this onto. So I just cut a piece of whipped cream cardstock, slightly larger than my main panel here. And foam tape would work perfectly for this sort of a thing. I don't have any on hand, mostly just, yeah, I just have some of this random, I had a whole full sheet of foam tape, I don't know why. So I just cut it down, but yeah, regular, like a roll of foam tape would work so much faster than this. And all you want to do is get your foam tape into place, and for me, I'm going to add it to the main panel first, only because it's going to be a little bit easier to add my layer when I do that. Okay, so I've got my first layer down. For me personally, when I make shaker cards, I like to double up on the foam adhesive so that you've got a thicker gap between the pieces, so that whatever you decide to add to your shaker card can shake freely and isn't going to get stuck between the layers. So I like to do one layer, and then I'm going to add a second layer. 2 layers added. The one thing, again, I'll point out when you're doing a shaker card is you want to make sure you don't have any gaps between your layers of foam adhesive, because you obviously don't want whatever it is you're adding to slip out. So with these little guys, it's not so bad because they're a decent size, but if you're using like little tiny beads or glitters, you definitely want to make sure there's no open spaces for things to slip out, and then you're just going to have a mess. So I've got that. I'm going to dump my little shaker pieces into the card here. And you definitely don't want to add too much either, because you want to be able to get it to move around. So I die cut the baby rattle and these circles twice. And I think for this size of a card, that's more than enough little fun shaker pieces. So just get them in there, and then I'm going to add my main panel. Okay, so now I just want to finish off this fun little card. So I'm going to mat that on a piece of Night Shift blue cardstock that is cut to your standard A2 size, so 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and score at 4 1/4. Perfectly. So of course I can't leave the inside completely plain, so I've got another piece of whipped cream cardstock and this large die from the Blueprints 13 set. Okay, so I want to emboss this little rattle die onto a strip of Berrylicious cardstock. So I have my platform set up for an embossing folder, and then I have the thicker of the 2 MFT embossing pads, and you just do cutting plate, embossing pad, cardstock, the die face down, and then another cutting plate, and you just run it through. I've got this fun little embossed baby rattles here, and obviously I still have to finish off the last little bit. So the easiest way to do that is to kind of run it off of my sheet like so. And I'm gonna just get it lined up like that. Set down my plate and run it through a second time. So that way it continues on, and if I had run it through all together, you could end up pressing that embossing or back out. So that's why you wanted it to run off the little edge there. So just a little extra something. So now to finish off my card, I'm just going to adhere this piece to the whipped cream cardstock I die cut earlier. And then I'm just going to adhere that to the inside of my card. So, and for those wondering, because I do get asked with cards like this, what would you do to mail them because they're so thick and you don't want it to be damaged? If I was going to mail a card like this, I'd put it in a bubble envelope to protect it, and maybe with a piece of stiff cardboard. Cards like this I like to make with, to give with gifts that I slip like right inside the gift bag that I'm going to hand over or send with someone. That's actually what I'm doing with this one, so that way it's not going to get damaged at all. So if you are going to mail, you want to mail a shaker card, I would just stick it in a bubble envelope and pay a little extra for postage. But it's really fun. So yeah, so many possibilities with this little die set to make all different style of cards. You could stamp the different layers, do all sorts of things, but this is just a fun, simple way to make one for a little baby boy. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll post the link below to my blog post with more info on all these products, because the links will not be live. They'll be released very soon, but yeah, all that info will be in my blog post. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.